Good morning, class. Come on in, time to get started. Today we are in section 2.2.3, and I think the title is The Big Race. So far in this chapter, we've looked at a lot of different ways to write linear equations using different strategies and from different starting information. And we're going to kind of pull all that together today to answer the big question, who is going to win the race? Normally, I would give each member of a group one of four cards and you would share two, but because you're working remotely, I have to kind of lay all the cards out on the table, so to speak. I do encourage you, I think period 4 and period 6 kind of took me up on this. If you're away today, I encourage you to invite other students to work with you on the slide deck. I think there's two slides that you're going to fill out today. I encourage others to work with you to fill out those slides. Just make sure that you do copy back the information and that you're submitting the completed project yourself as well. But if, as long as you're all working together and you're submitting the final project individually, that's a great strategy. So let's get started. Sorry, now we'll get started. How about now? There we go. That's good enough. Oop, nope. Psych. Come on back. Here you are. There we are. So it's called the Big Race Finals. Today is the final event of the Big Race. Your teacher will give you each a card, and actually I'm going to give you all the cards. You can see them down below here. You and your team will compete against Heat 1 and 2 winners Leslie and Elizabeth at today's rally in the gym. Unfortunately, Mark, the winner of Heat 3, is absent and he will not be participating. So your task as a team, or in this case individually, draw a graph, and the graphs will be in your Google slide deck, the first slide, showing all of the racers' progress over time. As you do that, please identify the racers by name. Write an equation for each of the racers. So as you get enough information to write the equation, use quick equations to add an equation, and then finally figure out who wins the race. So let's look at the information that you're given. It's these 6 cards, and actually the one that is you is the light blue one that I've added off in the lower right. So that card represents you and your race, and the other racers are 3 teachers in the math department and Elizabeth and Leslie from heats 1 and 2. So I'm racing, and I don't think I set this up so that I win, but Mr. Roberts rides his tricycle 3 meters every 2 seconds and passes Mr. Woolard 10 seconds after the race begins. The race is 25 meters long, so there's some important information there. I really can't start with that because I don't know where Mr. Woolard is 10 seconds after the race begins. So once I know that, I can come back to that, but I don't think there's enough information for me to deal with Mr. Roberts. So let's go look at Mr. Woolard. It says Mr. Woolard gets the same head start as Elizabeth. Okay, so that immediately is sending me to, I don't think I can do Mr. Woolard's race until I know something about Elizabeth's race. It says he rides 1 meter every 2 seconds. Who's going to win the race? So let's go back to Elizabeth. Elizabeth is 11 meters into the race after 4 seconds, but is only 13 meters after 12 seconds. Her tricycle is slow because she has a flat tire. So is 11 meters into the race after 4 seconds. So at 4 seconds, we know she's at 11. And then at 12, we know she's at 13. 12 seconds. So that's probably going to be one of the people that we start with, because I think I can describe her race just from that information. There's essentially 2 points there. From those points, I think we could figure out the slope, but the other thing we could figure out is her y-intercept. And it turns out we're going to need her y-intercept because Mr. Woolard's going to get the same head start as Elizabeth, and then they give us his rate 1 meter every 2 seconds. Leslie rides 2 meters per second and starts 2 seconds after the race starts. Okay, so that's interesting. She is going to start not right when everyone else is, but 2 seconds after the race. So she's going to kind of just hang out at the beginning for 2 seconds and then start at her race. you ride half as fast as Leslie, but you get a 4-meter head start. You're going to ride half as fast as Leslie, but you're going to get a 4-meter head start. And there's one person I forgot way back over here, Mrs. Baxter. Mrs. Baxter gets a 1-meter head start and catches up to Elizabeth in 4 seconds. Who's going to win the race? So again, if we look at all of these, this information we kind of need to summarize. So I'm going to keep it all off to the side here. So you'll see all of this. So when you open up your slide today, you'll see this, and I hope it's legible. I think you can zoom in and read these. And your goal is to go ahead and create the graph in here in your slide deck, and then from the graph answer these questions. I think that in my mind, anyways, I need to help with the first one. So we're gonna talk about Elizabeth. So let's switch over to Google Slides. Okay, so if we're looking at Elizabeth first, I said she is 11 meters into the race after 4 seconds. So let me go ahead and grab I think we used this tool last time. So the arrows, she is 11 meters after 4 seconds. So here's 11, and I'm going to go to 4. There's 4 seconds. There's 11. So I know this is a data point that I want to use. And from here, I know that if I go over, but is only at 13 meters, so she changes 2 meters at 12 seconds. So here's 4, and I need to go all the way to 12. Ugh. I'm looking at this from across the room, and it's hard for me to see it, but I think that's the 12. And I'm at 13 meters at 12. So again, if I release this, I'm at 14, aren't I? There we go. So if I release this here, I can just verify with these endpoints. So at 13 meters, 12 seconds. So at 12 seconds, I can verify that I'm at 13 meters. And at 4 seconds, I can verify that I'm 11 meters. So again, the thing that I like about this is when I grab these endpoints, right, I need to make sure that I match this slope. So I'm just going to drag Elizabeth off this direction, matching the slope, and back this direction, making sure I match that slope. Okay, so I've got Elizabeth, and this is going to be complicated. There's going to be quite a few racers, so I definitely want to label her. So again, if I click and drag, I can make the text box the size I want it to be, and I'm going to label this Elizabeth, Elizabeth. That's a little bit big. Make it a little bit bigger. I don't know. I probably could actually write her equation now. So we've got her set up. Now it turns out that I need this information to deal with Mr. Woolard, because I know that Mr. Woolard is going to get the same head start as Elizabeth. So I can see looks like it's at 10. So he's going to get a 10-meter head start as well. That's telling me the y-intercept of both of these racers. And then also his slope is going to be 1 meter every 2 seconds. So it's going to go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, etc. So we've got him dialed in. And I think at this point we could write the equations. Remember, to write the equations, I'm using Quick Equations. It's an extension that you can install. And if I wanted to, if I was looking at her, she looks like she's 4, was supposed to be at 11. I think this is a little bit high. Bring that down a little bit. So 4 is supposed to be 11. So I'm going to say it's up 1 over 4. So Elizabeth's rate is 1/4 of a meter. So if I want to write her equation, I believe Elizabeth is at y equals, oops, gotta type it here, y equals 1/4 x, and then plus 10. And I'll just bring Elizabeth's equation onto the slide and just rotate it ever so slightly. So I can see Elizabeth's equation and I'm ready to add the rest of the racers. So again, I think at that point that's the weird starting point. But I think if you look at each of these and maybe different orders, you're going to be able to figure out who wins the race. And it does tell you that the race is 25 meters long today. And then there's a series of questions here on the second slide: A, B, C, D, E, and F. Who won the finals of the big race? Who came in last place? Which riders, plural, other than the winner, were in first place for a while? For approximately how long was this rider or these riders in first place? How many seconds did it take to win the race? How fast was Mrs. Baxter traveling? How fast was Elizabeth traveling? Use unit rates. At what point in the race? At one point in the race, three different participants were at the same distance from the starting line. Who were they, and when did this happen? And finally, what would the graph look like if one of the riders fell off their tricycle? So again, and to answer these, if you could just grab a text box and just kind of drag it in here, you can type your response there, and I'll be able to see those. All right, we're at about 12 minutes, 11 minutes, 30 seconds. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in class soon.